Hi, my name is Mason Waring. I'm joined here with my colleague, CCK attorney Leah Small. And today we're going to talk about the importance of vocational evidence in long-term disability claims. So Leah, can we start by explaining what is vocational evidence?
So vocational evidence can be a wide variety of things. It can be information and documentation about claimants' education, their past work history, skills or certifications they've gained, their past earnings, things like that. And again, this comes from a few different sources: proof of college degrees obtained, resumes to show what the work history is. We oftentimes get actually reports from vocational experts in long-term disability claims to help establish kind of what a claimant's background is, what skills they have.
And why does it matter?
So under most long-term disability policies, disability is defined under what we call the own occupation or the any occupation definition of disability. And so it's going to look at whether you can perform the duties of the occupation a claimant had at the time they started becoming disabled, or at some point potentially transitioning to can they perform the duties of any occupation, oftentimes any occupation they're qualified for. And so first, under the own occupation definition, it's important to be able to define what that occupation was, what duties did it entail. And so many people, they may have the same title as somebody else, but the duties can be very different. And so you really kind of have to look at that vocational evidence, look at the job description, what is the claim reporting, was their employer report, what were those duties, even aside from what was the title per se. Under the any occupation definition, and especially where it looks at any occupation a claimant is qualified for, it's really going to become important to look at what skills do they have that could transfer to another job. What were their past earnings, what were their education, to determine is there something else they could do that they're qualified for in light of their disability.
And, we help people in the initial claim process, the appeal process, the court process. When is it important to submit vocational evidence to the insurance company? And when does it come into play? Like, what part of that process?
I would say even with the initial claim, it's important to explain in detail what your occupation was, the physical duties, the cognitive duties. And while your transferable skills may not come into play until later down the road, if your policy transitions to an any occupation definition, it still can be a good idea to kind of establish early on what your work history is, what your skills are. And oftentimes insurance companies will ask about that even on the initial claim forms, so they can have that information available when they're assessing disability under both definitions.
Right. And so, another thing that came to mind is job descriptions. And often the insurance company will look at job descriptions, but they're often not accurate. And so let's say you're handling your claim yourself. You want to be sure that what is said about your job, how it's described, is totally accurate, and what's said about you is totally accurate in the record there. I think there are times where we're handling an initial claim where we don't necessarily use a vocational expert, but maybe we need that on appeal. But there are times in the initial claim that you do want an expert. And so it's just a judgment that needs to be made based on your individual situation and the terms of your policy. If you have questions about your long-term disability claim or whether you need vocational evidence for your case, please reach out to us. It costs nothing to see if we can assist. You can find us online at cck-law.com. Thank you.
Thank you.